I'd like to talk about your entry in the tall building competition, the C&D International Tower in Xiamen. As the years go on, we here in America learn more about Chinese geography and about cities through the tall buildings. What can you tell me about Xiamen and what's going on there in terms of the super tall building scene now?
Xiamen is in the southeastern part of China. Historically, it's a trading port. When in the last century, a trading port between China and the foreign country and Europe. So there's a small island in Xiamen that's full of consulates from around the world. And many traditional heritage buildings still exist. And it got the style from Germany to Japan to the States. Everywhere around the world, they build there. And traditionally, all the city centers are on the west end of the islands, because on the eastern side is facing to the Taiwan. And not to know to many people, actually the Taiwan control one of the islands right facing to C&D Towers. So it's very close. We can see it when it's good weather. So while the eastern side is not well developed, but now the government, you know, everything changed now. So you make peace with the Chinese government, have peace deal with the Taiwanese government. So the eastern part of the island is getting developed. And the C&D Tower is one of the tower in the new CBD planned by the government. And because our client is another state-owned corporations, so they get to pick the nice sites within the new CBD.
Tell me about the shape of the building, because it's quite distinctive, and why is it shaped the way it is, and how did that design evolve?
Normally, a tall building is, for structural reasons, it starts from a square or rectangular shapes. And we developed from that part, and we found that the site is very narrow. It's very narrow from the east to west sides. So we want to keep the pedestrian flowing from the seashore to the inner part of the CBD. And that's very important, how we can conserve or we give more ground area to the public and to the pedestrian, rather than we occupy the whole sites. So we have an idea that the rectangular building, we taper in and out from the top and the bottom. So it solves the problem, it gives opportunity to the ground, the pedestrian nice streets. We can give enough width and a nice proportion to the pedestrian. And also to the top, when it tilted up, it gets the slanderless shaping, and it gives the strength to the tower. And also it's echo the whole process, how we make these diamond shapes buildings. We inspire from the slogan from our client. There's a diamond life in their slogan. So we use the diamond cutting analogy to shaping this building, and it cuts all the corners like a diamond. So in the presentation, I can talk about this in more details.
The design of the tower, you mentioned the pedestrian realm, and tell me what's going on at street level specifically. What was the thought process there?
The whole CBD, there's many functions in there. There's a cultural center, there's a plaza, and also there's consulate, offices, and retail around the C&D Tower. So one way to doing the design is we have our isolated building. We have the retail mall and the tower ourselves within the podium and the tall tower. And we try to use our opportunity. We are centrally located in the CBD area. We try to make this the flowing, either for the wind and for the pedestrian, for the underground street, and also for the car parks. We also, as a pivot point for the whole CBD, the people from the C&D Tower, from the site, we can connecting to the plaza at the back, and also at the cultural center of main theater in Xiamen at the back. That's the opportunity to create, to have separate building rather than a big podium in one pieces.
How does the building, the design of the building relate to the rest of the city, to the other buildings?
To the original city center is quite far away. It's on the west end of the islands, so it's linked by the ring road. And our tower acts as a iconic building around the ring road to the airport and between the city. And on the closer proximity is the open area or the pedestrianized area is actually connecting to the plaza and to the office area at the back. So the whole area is, we try to create an urban fabric within the new CBD area rather than because there's no much context. It's just a landfill, a reclaimed land from the sea. Okay, so we want to have this connection to the new building they're going to build, and also to the other hotels and the offices nearby. We make it well connected, just like many other cities in the world. The CBD is not isolated islands, but it's well connected.
There's a passive solar design aspect to the building. How did you take advantage of that?
Our building, the site is northwest, north-south in the longer length. So the buildings actually, the tower itself is facing east and west. So for the building itself, we employed vertical louvers to shade off the eastern and western sunlights. And also the building itself is also as a shading device to the internal streets of the pedestrianized area. Also, we create separate building blocks inside our sites, which individually using as a retail area, and also it become something like a traditional Xiamen shopping street, which has a shop house. We have the streets about 15 meters wide and 3 or 4 story heights. So it naturally, it will shade off the internal street. It also gives the ventilation, very good sea breeze to the internal streets. So rather than have a wholly air-conditioned area, we have this natural ventilated and naturally shade area for the people walking past here. And we also have an underground passage from our site, from the seashore, connecting to the CBD center, to the plaza behind our building sites.
Are there any points in your presentation? This is the place to talk about things that maybe you don't get to talk about upstairs. Any points that you'd like to bring up?
In our design, we always try how to fit into the building, the whole design into the sites. Even though when we visit the site, there's not much context. It's just reclaimed land. But we always try to not as isolated islands or trophy buildings, we call them. So building which itself is looking good, but it have not much relationship to the building nearby and also to the district, to the surrounding area. We see this phenomenon in many China cities at the moment because they just try to building very fast and they try to design the kind only asking for a good building within their sites. And because in the C&D Tower, it's a good opportunity as a gateway to the whole CBD. So we always try to linkage, either is by the natural ventilation for the pedestrian, for the cars. We always try to link it back to all the buildings behind it. And it's lucky for us, the government loved the C&D Tower designs, and they appoint us to do another tower adjacent. So in some of the photos, it have a folding facade building. It's also done by us. It's also completed in this year. So it creates, our buildings can create a plaza in the middle. It's at the center of the whole new CBD area, which is great space for the people gather there and during lunch hours and doing some functions. And the Xiamen's, that's international marathon, they also start around our buildings. So it become a focal point of of the new Xiamen CBD and also for the Xiamen city.
I'll ask you one last question just about Xiamen itself, because for the last at least 15 years, there have been a couple super tall proposals in Xiamen. So I mean, we've been watching the city since the late 1990s. If there is truly a super tall building, I mean a very tall building in Xiamen, is that going to evolve maybe a little bit differently than it has in other Chinese cities?
In Xiamen, because the weather is subtropical weather, so it can be. We try to, in the C&D Tower, we try to have a roof deck so people can enjoy the outdoor area, even on the rooftops. And I think for the new super high-rise tall building, I think it's good opportunities to see whether we can incorporate this in and out relationships, rather than just a whole sleeky buildings, enclose everything inside. Because it's like in John Hancock building, they also have a viewing deck on the outdoor. It's a great view, and also have a great place to sit on to look around the city. So I think in Xiamen it gives this opportunity because weather is quite mild, quite gentle. So even if the building gets taller, I think it's a great idea to explore. Although it always involves some technical difficulties and regulation control. Because, like the C&D Tower, we have a hard time to going through the fire engineering the approval from the government, because that's the tallest tower in Xiamen by the time we get our submissions. And we have to persuade them how to do it, and this is the way around the world can do it in this way, and it's safe for a building.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.